वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तां सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Is the displays like half screen and half image like that?
Yes, yes.
Is the text visible? This thing?
No, not really.
Text is small, no?
Yes.
Okay, then change the. How about now?
Yeah, perfect.
So we have been discussing this section, third canto, chapter 15, the last 14 shlokas. Very important section. Jiva Goswami is discussing each of the shlokas very minutely to establish that the personality of Godhead The personality of Godhead is completely spiritual, and the realization of the personality of Godhead is superior to the realization of the formless Brahman. Because in this section, the four Kumaras who had realized the formless aspect of the Brahman, how they experienced a superior happiness on realizing the personality of Godhead. How the Brahmavadis, the four Kumaras, how they became pure devotees. That is this particular section. The 79th anuccheda, we had discussed it, and the 79th anuccheda is divided into 16 subparts. Out of that, we have discussed the 8 parts. There are 17 subparts. Out of that, we have discussed 8 parts. So we are going to discuss this shloka, Pumsam. So somebody can repeat after me. The shloka. Pumsam gatim mrigayatam iha yoga margair. Pumsam gatim mrigayatam iha yoga margair. Somebody can repeat.
I repeat. Pumsam gatim mrugayatamiha yogamargai
ध्यानास्पदं बहुमतं नयनाभिरामम्
ध्यानार्नास्पदं बहुमतं नयनाभिरामम्
पौंस्नं वपुर् पौंस्नं वपुर् दर्शयाणमनन्यसिद्धैर्
पुंसं वपुर्दर्शयामनन्य mananya siddha. Then after that,
पौंस्नं वपुर् दर्शयाणमनन्यसिद्धैर्
पुंसं वपुर्दर्शयान मनया सिद्धै
औत्पत्तिकै समगृणन् युतमष्टभोगैः
औपत्तिकैः समगृण गृणन् गृणन् यत्मष्टभोगैः. So that row has become O, right?
When I'm splitting the shlokas,
Yeah.
if I chant together, it will be Paunsnam vapur darshayanamanan yasiddhairautpattikai samagrinan yutamashtabhoghaihi siddhairautpattikai. It will be continuous, but I am splitting into half. Therefore, Paunsnam vapur darshayanamanan yasiddhair outpattikai samagrinan yutamashtabhoghaihi. So after the visarga, if there is a sakara, then you pronounce the visarga like a sakara only. Outpattikai samagrinan. Instead of visarga, you have to pronounce a sakara only. Outpattikai samagrinan yutamashtabhogaihi. So if the visarga is followed by sakara or shakara or prakara, then the visarga is pronounced like a sakara, shakara, shakara. So that is the rural pronunciation. So Pumsam Gatim Mrigayatam, the Kumaras, then they began to praise the Supreme Lord. Samagrinan. Samagrinan means they began to praise the Lord. They began to offer Samagrinan means perfect. They began to offer perfect praises to the Supreme Lord, who had shown them his human form. Pumsam gatim mrigayatam iha yoga margai. Pounsnam vapur darshayanam. Pounsnam vapur darshayanam means who had shown them his human form. And this human form is the Pumsam gatim mrigayatam. This human form is the final goal for those seeking the ultimate truth. Mrigayata means searching or seeking. Pumsam gatim mrigayatam. This human form of the Supreme Lord is the final goal for those seeking the ultimate truth. Yoga margair, through the paths of yoga. And this human form is the Bahumatam Nayanabhirama. Bahumatam, it is the most highly esteemed Nayanabhiramam, object of meditation. And this human form, Nayanabhiramam, means the greatest joy for the eyes. Bahumata means the most highly esteemed object of meditation. Dhyanaspadam. Dhyanaspadam is the Dhyanaspadam means object of meditation. Bahumatam Dhyanaspadam. Most highly esteemed object of meditation. And Nayanabhirama means the greatest joy for the eyes. So this whole verse is describing the different, so many adjectives are describing the form of the Supreme Lord. And this human form is Outpattikaihi Ashtabhogaihi, naturally endowed with the 8 supramundane, transcendental opulences, Anima, Lagima, Mahima, etc. Ashtabhogaihi. And Ananya Siddhai. Ananya Siddhai means these opulences have not been acquired through any other source. Ananya Siddhair Outpattikai Ashtabhogai. So you see, so many adjectives to describe the form of the Supreme Lord, which is Kumara's had darshan. The first adjective is that it's a human form. Pounsnam Vapur Darshayanam, who had shown the human form. The first adjective, what is the nature of this human form? Pumsam Gatim Mrigayatam. It is the final goal for those seeking the truth. And for those seeking the truth through the paths of yoga, yoga margai. And the second adjective is that Bahumatam Dhyanaspadam, the most highly esteemed object of meditation. And the third adjective is that Nayanabhiramam. It's the greatest joy for the eyes. And the fourth adjective is that Outpattikaihi Ananya Siddhair Outpattikair Ashtabhogaihi. It is naturally endowed with the 8 transcendental opulences that have not been acquired through any other source. So 4 qualities of the human form are described. And then now Jiva Goswami explains the terms in the sloka. So just carefully focus on the sloka. Pumsam iti. Pumsam iti. Bahumatam. Bahumatam means what? Brahmanopi Gana Prakashatvat Atyada Adaraspadam. Brahmano api means higher than the impersonal Brahman. Gana Prakashatvat. Gana Prakashatvat means the Lord's form is the ultimate object of reverence, Bahumatam, because it is highly condensed luminosity. Gana Prakashatvat. Therefore, it is Ati Adaraspadam. Ati Adaraspadam means ultimate object of reverence. Adara Adaraspadam means object of adar, object of reverence. Ati Adaraspadam means ultimate object of reverence. Because why? Ganaprakashatva, that is the reason. It is a highly condensed luminosity. Brahmano api, exceeding even that of Brahman. Brahman is unconsolidated luminosity. Unconsolidated luminosity, but the Bhagavan's form is the condensed luminosity. Prabhupada explained this in a very simple way, the same concept. Brahman is unconsolidated luminosity, but the Bhagavan is highly condensed luminosity. When Prabhupada was conversing with some guest who came to meet him, and that guest was more inclined towards the Nirvikara Brahman, Brahmavadi kind of. So Prabhupada just asked, which is better? In order to explain how the Bhagavan is superior to the personal Brahman, he just asked, which is better, 1 crore rupees distributed in the form of the 1 rupee in 1 crore people, or 1 crore rupee in your packet? Which is better? He asked. He said, obviously, 1 crore rupee in my packet, that is better. So he said, that is why the Bhagavan is like that. In Bhagavan is the Gana Prakashatvat. Bhagavan's form is the highly condensed form of luminosity. But the impersonal Brahman is the unconsolidated luminosity. And then another meaning of Bahumatam. Another meaning is that Bahunam Tattvadrisham Sammatamitiva. That means Bahumata means the Lord's form is highly esteemed by those who have seen the truth. Bahunam Tattvadrisham Sammatam. Those who are Tattvadrishis. Many Tattvadrishis, they have actually they have a high esteem for the Lord's form. Another meaning. And then Paunsnam Vapur Darshayanamiti. Who had shown this human form. Here it means that Purushasya Garbhodashayino Gunavatara Rupam Sri Vishnuvakyam Yad Vapus Tad Abhinnataya Swam Vapur Darshayantam Natu Brahmadivat Anyatatvena Ityartaha. So the Lord showed that form which is same as the Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, which is not different from the form of the Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, which is the Gunavatara of the Lord. The Lord did not show a form such as that of Brahma. Brahmadivat Anyatatvena Ityartaha. He did not show the form of a Brahma. Brahma is also a Gunavatara of the Lord, but Brahma is different from his own Swarupa. Brahma is not a Swamsha form. But the Lord showed the form of the Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, and he did not show a form such as that of Brahma, which is different from his own. And then further, he explains the term Ananyenaiva Svenaiva. Ananya Siddhai. Ananyena Svenaiva Siddhaihi Parupa Bhutair Ityartaha. Means these the 8 transcendental opulences which are there in the form of the Lord, they are all inherent characteristics. Means these attributes of the Lord's form are self-existent, Ananya Siddhai. They have not been acquired from some other source. It is not that Lord acquired the attributes of his form from some other source. Ananya Siddhai means they are self-existent. They are inherent components of his essential nature. Atayeva Outpattikais Tadvadeva Anadi Siddhair Ityartaha. That means these attributes are there since beginningless time. The additional adjective outpattikai means that these attributes are eternally existent, exactly as the Lord himself. Outpattikai is tadvadeva anadi siddher ityartha. Just like Bhagavan is there since anadi kala, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda. Anadi means beginningless, not time immemorial. If we take the meaning as time immemorial, it would mean that Krishna is God since time immemorial. That means since a very long time is God, before that somebody else was. No, not like that. Krishna is the Bhagavan since beginningless time. Yomam ajamanadimcha vyatiloka maheshwaram asammuda samartyeshu sarvapape pramuchyate. Yomam ajam anadimcha. One who knows that Krishna to be unborn and beginningless, not time immemorial. Such a person is freed from all the papa. Similarly here, outpattikai tadvadeva, just like the Bhagavan's form is transcendental since beginningless time, is existing in beginningless time. Similarly, these attributes are also there, are eternally existent. Animad ashtaishvarya yutam vishishtam natu upalakshitam. So the Ashtabhogi refers to the 8 mystic siddhis. Because in the Bhagavan, they are present in a transcendental way. So these 8 supramundane opulences refer to the 8 paranormal powers such as Anima, Lagima, etc. So these characteristics are present in the Supreme Lord. Vishishtam, natu upalakshitam. That means these characteristics are intrinsic characteristics of the Lord's form. Natu upalakshitam means they are not external characteristics. Upalakshana we had discussed. Just like suppose somebody is asking, which is the Ramesh's house in this road? Then you are saying, oh, you see the crow which is sitting on the top, that house is Ramesh's house. Another person says that in this house, wherever the number 3 is written, that is Ramesh's house. So both people have given, explained Ramesh's house. But the first person has told about the Ramesh house by using a Upalakshana. Crow, the house in which crow is sitting. But this characteristic is the external characteristic. Right now the crow is sitting, but after 5 minutes crow may not be there. But the number 3 which is written, that is the intrinsic characteristics of the house. So since the so similarly, these characteristics are present in the Supreme Lord. They are intrinsic characteristics, natu upalakshitam. Anena tesham स्तुत्यास्पद विशेषणत्वेन अनेन तेषां स्तुत्यास्पद विशेषणत्वेन ऐश्वर्यो उपलक्षित समस्त भगानां तादृशत्वं व्यञ्जितम्. So, since the opulence of the Supreme Lord indicated by the supramundane power was the Kumara's object of reverence, Stutyaspada Visheshanattvena, it indicates that all the opulence of the Supreme Lord are identical in nature to him. So not only this Anima, Lagima, these things, but all the opulences of the Supreme Lord. Aishwarya Upalakshita Samasta Bhaganam Tadrishatvam Vyanjitam. Samasta Bhaganam, all the opulences of the Supreme Lord, Tadrishatvam means they are identical with him. They are inherent characteristics of him. That should be understood. Vyanjitam, that is indicated. Samagrinan means what? Samyag Stuvan Ityartaha. They offered perfect prayers. They offered perfect praises. I'll go through the commentary. So Brahma states that the Lord's body is highly reverenced by all the transcendentalists and yogis who seek ultimate reality. The word pumsam carries the broader connotation of all human beings and hence includes both men and women as those who seek the truth through the path of yoga. Bhagavan's form is described as the Paunsna, which indicates the form of Garbhodakshay Vishnu, the Purusha avatar. Brahma is also avatara, Gunavatara, but it has a different form, which does not resemble that of Vishnu. And the first phrase Ananya Siddhai, which have not been acquired through any other source, implies that Bhagavan's qualities are not extrinsic or acquired, but part of his Swarupa. So I already explained the term Upalakshita. An Upalakshana may function to distinguish one object from another. For example, someone points out that the Kadamba tree is the one with the peacock perched in it. So the peacock is considered the Upalakshana or indicator of the Kadamba tree. Although the peacock distinguishes that particular Kadamba tree, it is not the part of the Swarupa of the Kadamba tree. Because the peacock can fly away any time from the Kadamba tree. So Lord's attributes are not Upalakshanas. That means they cannot vanish. Lord's attributes are intrinsic to his form. Otherwise, if these attributes are Upalakshana, that means right now the Bhagavan is having these opulences in full. Aishwaryasya samagrasya. हो सकता है after 500 years these opulences may not be there. Right now, say the president, the prime minister is having certain security. And then right now, but then once the prime minister or president, suppose he is no longer, is not elected in the next 10 years, then he doesn't get the same facilities. So this was discussed in detail previously also, Upalakshan. So this is the 79.9 next shloka. So now the Kumaras offer profound prayers. 5 prayers are offered. I think 46 to 50. 3.15.46 to 50. So somebody can repeat after me. Shri Kumara Vuchuhu.
Shri Kumara Uchuhu.
Yontarhito hridigatopi duratmanam tvam.
Yo anantarhito gatopi duratmana manam tvam.
Yontarhito hridigatopi duratmanam tvam.
Okay, you joined that na with
There is
tvam.
no extra pronunciation for that avagra symbol. He has pronounced like that only. Yontarhito hridigatopi duratmanam tvam.
Yo anantarhito duratmana tvam.
Sodyaiva no nayanamoolamanantaradhaha.
सोऽध्यैव नो नयनमूलनन्तराध्यः
Yarhyeva karnavivareణ guham gato naha.
यथेव कर्णविवरेण गुहां गतो नः
Pitranuvarnitaraha bhavadudbhaveन.
पित्रानुवर्णितरः भवदुद्भवेन.
So Kumaras are offering prayers. Yaha antarhito hridi. Gatopi duratmanam. Tvam sodyaiva no nayana moolam ananta. Ananta is the Sambodhana Vibhakti word. They are addressing the Lord. O Ananta, unlimited Lord. Yaha antarhito hridi gatoha api. Api means although. Although antarhita, although you are situated in the hearts of hridi gatopi, although you are situated in the hearts of those who duratmana, those who misconstrue the self. Duratmana means the crooked people who misconstrue the self, who misidentify the self. Although you are situated as a super soul, even in the hearts of those who misconstrue the self, but antarhita, you are invisible to them. You remain invisible to them. Duratmanam hridi gatopi antarhita. Although you are situated in the hearts of even the duratmas, but antarhita, you are invisible to them. But saha adya eva, adya, but today, but now, adya, today or now, nayana moolam radha. But now you have come directly before our eyes. Nayana moolam radha, adya eva. And then, yarhyeva karna vivarena guham gatonah. Yarhyeva karna vivarena. You had actually entered. You had entered the core of our hearts. Guham gatonah. Guham means the core. You had entered the guham gatah. You had entered the core of our hearts. Karna vivarena, through the years. Pitranu varnitaraha bavadudbhavena. When our father, Pitra, Bavad who is born of you. That means Brahma, when our father Brahma, who was born of you, when he described to us about your mysteries. Anuvarnita raha. When he described to us about your mysteries. So at that time itself, you had actually entered the core of our hearts. But today you have become visible to our eyes. Nayana Moola Manantarata. Now then he explains the shloka. Ata Shri Bhagavatas Tadrisha Bhava Vyanjinim. Ata Shri Bhagavatas Tadrisha Bhava Vyanjinim. Nijamurtim Teshameva Swaharda Abhivyakti Karena Stutivakyena Pramanayati Shri Kumara Vuchuhu Iti. So the Lord's own form.
We cannot hear you. The Lord's own form. After that, we couldn't hear you.
So the Lord's own form had evoked these feelings in the Kumaras. So these feelings are Shri Bhagavatas Tadrisha Bhava Vyanjinim. The Lord's own form had evoked these feelings in the Kumaras. And now Shri Brahma offers further evidence of this form by citing their prayers. Brahma is narrating the entire incident, the demigods. So Brahma is offering further evidence of this form by citing their prayers, by citing the prayers offered by the Kumaras. Nijamurtim teshameva swaharda abhivyakti karena stutivakyena pramanayati. In these prayers, the Kumaras are expressing their heartfelt emotions. Swaharda abhivyakti karena. Swaharda abhivyakti karena means the Kumaras are going to express their heartfelt emotions in these prayers. So Brahma is describing the prayers of the Kumaras, and by these prayers, he is giving further evidence of the fact that the Lord's form is transcendental. Stutim yaha iti panchabihi. So 5 prayers are there. In 5 prayers. Atra akshara jushamapi ityanusrutya vyakhyayate. So these 5 prayers are explained by Jiva Goswami in connection with that shloka. Akshara jusham. Tasyaravinda nayanasya padaravinda kinjalka mishra tulasi makaranda vayu antargatasva vivarena तस्यारविंद पयन नयनस्य पदारविंद किंजल्क मिश्र तुलसी मकरंद वायु अंतर्गत सविवरेण चकार तेषां संक्षोभम अक्षरजुषाम अपिचित्त तन्वोः. That 43rd shloka. Aksharajusham apichitta tanvoho. Aksharajusham api. In connection to that, he is explaining that. Aksharajusham api means what? Although situated in the impersonal Brahman realization, although the Kumaras were situated in the impersonal Brahman realization, now they are offering these prayers. In connection to that, you actually Akshara Jusham Api, now you see these shlokas. You see the heartfelt emotions of the Kumaras. Means like previously, although they were situated in the impersonal Brahman realization, but now how they are going to express their heartfelt feelings for the personal Bhagavan. So in that connection, one must see. Even though they were established in the bliss of the imperishable, in connection to this phrase, all these 5 prayers will be explained. So, Nityam Brahmarupena Prakashase na Tachitram. So the Kumaras were thinking that you eternally exist as Brahman. But na Tachitram. But that is nothing extraordinary. You eternally exist as Brahman, that is nothing extraordinary. Idanim tu Vishuddha Sattva Lakshanena Swarupa Shakti Vritti Visheshena Prakashitaya Ganaprakasha Paratatvaika Rupaya Murtya Pratyakshosi. Idanim, now, just now, you are present Vishuddha Sattva Lakshanena. You are present directly before our eyes. Pratyaksho Asi. You are present directly before our eyes in your personal form. In your personal form, which is the very form of the absolute truth. Gana Prakasha Paratatvaika Paratatva Eka Rupaya. Paratatva means you are which is the very form of the absolute truth. And Gana Prakasha, which is the of highly condensed luminosity. And this form is Vishuddha Sattva Lakshanena. It is manifested by a special function of your internal potency, which is characterized by unalloyed being. Vishuddha Sattva Lakshanena Swarupa Shakti Vritti Visheshanena. Swarupa Shakti is the internal potency of the Lord. And the special characteristic of the internal potency is that Vishuddha Sattva. So this form is manifested by the special function of your internal potency, which is characterized by unalloyed being, Vishuddha Sattva or Shuddha Sattva. And this is our great fortune. Aho Bhagyam. Aho Bhagyam. Asmakam Ityahuhu. This is our great fortune. In order to express that, they are addressing the Lord by the word Ananta. Hey Ananta. And then they say that Yas Tvam Hridgatopi Duratmanam Antarhito Naspurasi Sattvam Naha Asmakam Antarhito Nabhavasi Nayana Moolam Tvadyaiva Radha Praptosi. although you are existing as a Paramatma in the hearts of those who misconstrue the self, the Duratmas. But you remain invisible, antarhita. Antarhita means na spurasi. You remain invisible to them. That means you do not make yourself visible to them. But you are not invisible to us. Sattvam naha asmakam antarhito. Naha means us. Asmakam antarhito. But for us, you are not invisible. You have actually directly shown your form. On this very day, only that you have become apparent before our eyes. Nayana moolam tvadyaiva raddaha. You have directly shown your form to us. And then they say that, then Diva Goswami quotes a shloka from the Brahma Sutra, Vedanta Sutra. Tatacha api samradane pratyakshanu manabhyam ityasya vishaya vakyam. Brahma Sutra says that api samradane, by complete devotion, even the Supreme Lord is perceived directly as well as indirectly. Pratyaksha anumanabhyam. When samradane means by devotion. Complete devotion. By complete devotion, the Lord can be perceived directly through pratyaksha and through anuman, indirectly. So this Brahma Sutra is based on the Katha Upanishad shloka. And the Katha Upanishad shloka is quoted next. Paranchi kani vyatrinat. Paranchi kani vyatrinat. Swayambhus tasmat parang pashyati nantaratman. Kachit dhira pratyagaatmanam aikshadavritta chakshura amrutatvam ichan. Katha Upanishad shloka. The meaning is that the self-born creator designed the sense faculty to be directed externally. And therefore, human beings look outward and do not see the self within. People are always looking for, human beings are, conditioned living entities are always focused on the external sense objects. They never look within. Desiring immortality, but the wise living entities have turned, wise self has turned his gaze inward and seen the indwelling Atman. So okay, ma. Prahlad Maharaj says that Nate vidu swartha gatim hi Vishnum durashayaye bahirartha maninaha anda yatandai supagiyamanas tepisha tantriyam urudam nibaddha. One's real self-interest lies in pleasing Vishnu. But people not focusing on Vishnu, bahirartha maninaha, they are focused on the external sense objects. Bhagavad Gita also, there are two terms come. Indriya Rama, Atma Rama. यस्त्वात्मरतिरेव स्यात् आत्मतृप्तश्च यस्त्वात्मरतिरेव स्यात् आत्मतृप्तश्च मानवः आत्मन्येव सन्तुष्टः यस्त्वात्मरतिरेव स्यात् यस्त्वात्मरतिरेव स्यात् आत्मतृप्तश्च मानवः आत्मन्येव च सन्तुष्टः तस्य कार्यं न विद्यते. So this shloka describes about the Atma Rama, one who is satisfied in the Atma itself.
This is
And the
fifth chapter you are quoting?
third chapter.
Okay.
And the previous shloka talks about the Indriya Rama. Evam pravartitam chakram nanuvarta yatihayaha agayur Indriya Ramo mogam parthasa jivati. Indriya Rama, those who seek happiness through external sense gratification by satisfaction of their senses. Indriya Arama, that is described in 3.16. 3.17 describes the Atma Rama. So now coming back here, so this shloka talks about generally the Baddha Jivatmas, they only look outward. That means they are Indriya Ramas. They don't see the self within. But among the Jivatmas, those who are wise people, who desire immortality, they focus their attention towards the indwelling Atman. The indwelling Atman Paramatma. So, Antardhana Bhave Hetuhu. Antardhana Bhave Hetuhu. So, the Kumaras are explaining the reason why the Lord did not conceive himself from them. The Kumaras were saying that although you are situated as a super soul in the heart of the Duratmas, but you are invisible to them. But you have become visible to us. So what is the reason that you have become visible to us? What is the reason you did not remain invisible to us? What is the reason you gave darshan to us? That they are giving the reason. Bhavad udbhavena brahmana tena asmad pitra yarhi yada eva anuvarnita raha uddishta brahmakya rahasyaha. When our father Sri Brahma, who is born of you, described your mysteries anuvarnita raha and instructed us in the confidential knowledge of Brahman, brahmakya rahasyaha. So at that very time, tadaiva naha karnamargena tad rupataya guham buddhim gatositi. So at that time, you entered the core of, at that very time, you entered the core of our hearts through the years. Karnamargena tad rupataya guham buddhim gatosi. So at that time, when our father Lord Brahma explained the confidential truth about the nature of your form, so at that time you entered the core of our hearts through the years. That means what? Taduktam akshara jushamapi buddhim gatositi. That means you pervaded our entire intelligence. By entering through the ear, you pervaded our intelligence. So therefore it is said, Taduktam Akshara Jushamapi. So even though the Kumaras were situated in the impersonal Brahman realization, but they had heard before. Once Brahma had explained to them about the personal form of the Supreme Lord. So because they had heard about the Lord's form, although they were actually situated in the impersonal Brahman realization, they were actually wanting to see the form of the Lord. Because they had heard about the personal form of the Lord from Lord Brahma. So here we see that very beautiful. We can see Kumara sir. They are actually remembering their guru. Their guru is Brahma only. So Kumaras had been instructed by Sri Brahma in the science of the absolute. And therefore the Lord had entered their hearts. Now that he was visible to them directly in his personal form, they remembered their father. That is the quality of a disciple. A disciple never forgets his spiritual teacher and considers everything to be his mercy. So Kumaras are remembering the spiritual teacher, the Guru Brahma, that Brahma had described this form previously. So now they are showing gratitude. So factually what this means is that the very form they saw was not different from the Brahman that had been described to them in the Vedas by Sri Brahma. Although the Lord is the all-pervading Brahman, he manifests his personal form to his devotees. This is confirmed by the Vedanta Sutra cited by Jiva Goswami. Although the senses do not have the power to perceive the Lord, who remains hidden to the conventional awareness, he can be seen by bhakti. And Krishna says to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita 11th chapter that Naham Vedairna Tapasa na Danena na Chejaya Shakya Evam Vido Drashtum Drishtavan Asimam Yata Bhaktya Tvananyaya Shakya Aham Eva Vidorjuna Jnatum Drashtum cha Tatvena Praveshtum cha Parantapa. So Krishna says that I cannot be seen in the same manner that you have seen me simply through the study of the Vedas, nor through the serious penances, charity or worship. It is only through the undivided devotional service, Ananyaya Bhaktya, I can be known in this way, that I can be seen and indeed be entered into. Jnatum Drashtum cha Tatvena Praveshtum cha Parantapa. I can be seen, I can be entered into. So bhakti can be received only by the mercy of a devotee. Kumaras had received the seed of bhakti from their father Brahma. So Kumaras had received the auspicious fortune to associate with Brahma, a great bhakta of the Lord. So the next anuccheda is little maybe I'll just discuss the beginning few parts and then we'll end. And then the next shloka, the second prayer of the Kumaras. Somebody can repeat. Tam tvam vidama bhagavan paramatma tattvam.
Tam tvam vidam bhagavan paramatma tattvam.
Tattvena sampratiratim rachayantamesham.
Tattvena sampratiratim rachayanta mesham.
Yattenu tapa viditair drisha bhakti yogair.
Yatten. Okay, this it becomes a anu, right?
No, that avagraha, there is no pronunciation for it.
Okay.
That simple yattenu.
Acha.
Avagraha, as if it is not there, like that only you can pronounce. Yattenu tapa viditair drida bhakti yogair.
Yattenu tapa viditai tair druda bhakti yogair.
Udgranthayo hridi vidur munayo viragaha.
Ruddhantayoridim vimdur manayo viragaha.
So Kumaras are saying that tam tvam vidama bhagavan paramatma tattvam. Bhagavan, the Sambodhana Vibhakti word, O Lord. Through this form of yours, which is constituted of sattvena, which is constituted of unalloyed sattva. Sattvena. Samprati means now. Through this form of yours, constituted of unalloyed being, you are at present inducing love in these devotees. Rachayantamesham. Ratim rachayantamesham. This is an important word. Ratim rachayantamesham. You are inducing love in all in these devotees. This is a very important point. Because for a person who is Brahman realized Jnani, they will not be affected by any emotions. That is the nature of the Brahman realized Jnani. But the Kumaras are saying that Ratim Rachayantam Esham, you are inducing love in these devotees. It means upon them, you are saying. We know you in this very form. Tvam Vidama. Tam Tvam Vidama. We know you in this very form to be the Paramatma Tattvam, to be the supreme truth of the self. Parama Atma Tattvam. This form of yours is the Parama Atma Tattvam, the supreme truth of the self, which the great sages, Yete Yatte Anutapa Viditair Dridabhakti Yogair Udgrantayo Kridi Vidur Munayo Viragaha. Munaya means sages. The great sages realize within their hearts. Kridi Viduhu. They realize within their hearts. After Udgrantayo. Udgrantayo means after cutting asunder the knots of ego. After cutting asunder, after cutting the false ego, after cutting asunder the knots of ego, and viraga, and becoming free from material attachment through drida bhakti yoga, through firm devotional service. Anutapa viditai, understood through your mercy. Through firm devotional service, understood through mercy. So we see that the Kumaras are saying that your form, which is composed of Shuddha Sattva, it is inducing love in us. Ratim, Rachayanta Mesham, this is a very important word. And we understand your form to be the Parama Atma Tattvam, supreme truth of the self. And the great sages, they realize this form after cutting aside, after overcoming their false ego, Udgrantayo, after becoming completely free from material attachment, viraga, through drida bhakti yoga, not through jnana marga, but through firm devotional service, which is anutapa viditai, which is understood through your mercy. So this is the second prayer. So we will go through the meaning of the second prayer next class. Next week, let us see when we can have. Mostly Saturday may be the only day possible next week. If anybody has any questions?
So it is easier for Brahmavadis, right, to accept the personal form and go ahead. Because those who don't believe in the form at all, see, Brahmavadis believe both, no, form and formless, but they are more attracted to the formless. So then when they are preached, their affinity to become a devotee is much more than the ones who don't believe in the form at all.
This form is this particular section. It's a very important section because generally those who are focused on the formless aspect of the absolute truth, they experience a very high form of happiness, Brahmananda. To shake them from their stage and to prove that the personality of God is much superior to uh, that uh, that Siddhanta is established in this particular section of the Bhagavad. It's not easy, but this section is especially meant for that. Up here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhakta
Thank you, Prabhuji.